Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Hamburg. So, since last time, I have finished the preseason for the 2020-2021 season. And quite a lot has changed, actually. Let's start by looking at the new transfers. So, actually, you know what? Let's look at the players that I promoted up to the first team. So, since last time, I have actually promoted this guy, Jonas David, from the under 19s team. He actually looks like a pretty decent player. My tactic usually needs a ball playing defender. So looking at his stats, I like his aerial ability. His defending is something he could work on, but he's a physical player with an okay vision for a defender. And I think this guy can really develop into something. He's also fairly ambitious, which is really nice to see. Apart from him, we also have Ware Pakia. Now, this guy, I don't know how he is in real life. He's a very interesting one. He originally came from Borussia Dortmund and went to Hamburg, apparently the same year, I guess, that actually this game starts, but there is no transfer fee involved. He was incredibly good for the reserves team, and I promoted him to the first team. Now, looking at him, he is not really ready for the Bundesliga, probably. He is only above average in speed and in his physical abilities. But looking at his current ability, he is at 2 stars. He's got a lot of room to improve, and we can see his determination is increasing as well. So I think this is definitely a player to keep an eye on in the future, and he is the one I will play primarily on the left wing this season. Now, apart from these two, we have made some transfers. Looking at the transfers, I have not had a lot of money to spend, to be honest. I expected to get a little bit more, but we will have to have done the most we can with the money that we get, right? So as you can see, I've only spent money on 2 players, and I've brought in a few on a freeze. So many of these players are still 18, 19. They're nowhere near the first team, so I'm not going to show them. However, some of the players that I brought in are definitely going to play in the first team. First one is Sean Harris or Kian Harris. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but he's Welsh. He's 23 years old, and I brought him in from Swansea. Looking at him, he's pretty decent player. I've had issues with my defenders being really poor in the air. So bringing someone in who can kind of work as a backup center back, who is still well cut out for this duty and being a ball playing defender, I think is really, really good. And I definitely expect him to get quite a lot of matches this season, actually. Apart from him, we also have Emerson Hindman, who is American, who I brought in on a free from Bournemouth. And this is another guy who is all round pretty okay. I don't expect him to be the first choice midfielder, but he's great to have as a backup. And getting him in on a free, I think, is really, really good business for the club. Then we have, I think, the 3 big coup transfers we made. I'm going to start with Sofiane Auguero. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it because I'm not French. Now, I paid 3 million euros for this guy, and I understand that that's a lot of money, and I can totally see how you might say, Victor, is this guy really good enough for 3 million euros? I mean, you don't have a lot to spend. You got to stay up in the Bundesliga. And I totally agree with your concern. And in fact, I'm not entirely sure that it was the right move. But looking at him, it's clear that this guy is going to become a superstar. I mean, he looks fantastic. He is extremely well-rounded at the age of 19. He has a lot of room to improve. You know, he's definitely the type of player I want to have in the midfield and play as a Metzala. His long shots could be better, but I think that he is going to be a player that we will have for quite a long time and who is going to develop into probably a upper upper Bundesliga type player. So I'm really happy with him. I also brought in another right back in Linus Wahlqvist. Now, I am Swedish, so it's kind of funny that I brought in a Swedish player, but there were only two right backs I could find that were really good in the complete wing back role, which is what I try to play. Looking at him, he's still quite young. He's only 23. He plays for the national team, which is always a good sign. He's a fairly professional player. I expect him to give quite a lot of competition or to be a thorn in Joshua Wagnermann's side. And hopefully these two players can push each other to perform better. And looking at his last season in Dynamo Dresden, he played pretty well. So I have quite high hopes for him. Hopefully, if it doesn't work out, we can at least sell him for a little bit of profit as well. And finally, our big coup in the transfer period was Pierluigi Golini. Now, this one, I am not even really sure how we managed to pull off. It's an incredibly good goalkeeper for our level. Looking at him, if we compare him to our previous number one, which was Julian Pollersbeck, you can see the green just encompasses all this blue. He is a fantastic sweeper keeper for this level. And for me personally, I think it's really important to have a good goalkeeper. It's the one position where you want to have a star player. You want to have the guy who can make a difference, who will get you that extra point, save that extra goal in the season. And especially if you're looking at maybe relegation, having a good goalkeeper is good to have. Now, what's really fascinating about this is, first off, we picked him up on a free. We picked him up on a free from Atalanta, where he had a good season. And Atalanta, they played well last year. They finished fourth in Serie A. So that we managed to pick this guy up on a free is incredible business. I mean, if it doesn't work out and he might want to leave in a year or two, if we can sell him for 15 million, that's a huge difference for the club's finances. Now, those were the transfers. If we look at the schedule, the preseason has been a little bit up and down. Generally, we've been quite good. If you look at it, I mean, we've only really lost to Manchester City and Chelsea, which is probably to be expected, you would probably say. Otherwise, we've been good. Winning against Derby County 5-1 is a pretty good result. Vansbeck is some lower division, so it doesn't matter. But winning against Boa Vista as well is pretty good. And Granada, even though it finished 1-1, Granada is the first division Spanish team. So I'm very, very happy with that. So moving forward, you can see in the Bundesliga, if we take a look, the season preview, media expects us to finish 13th in the league in our first season. And if you ask me, I would probably take that right now. It's fantastic if we manage to stay up. My goal for this season, though, is going to be a top half finish. I am looking at Hertha, and I really, really want to get a higher position than Hertha. I don't know why. There is no specific reason for it. I just think that that's the level that we should aim for this season. European qualification just seems way too far off. We still can't compete with the likes of Schalke or Borussia Mönchengladbach. This is something for the future. But if we can stay up this season, we finish top half, we have a couple of above average performances, we sell some players for some big money, I think we have a future going. I think we can really establish ourselves here in the Bundesliga again, and hopefully bring glory back to Hamburg. But with that, I would like to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.